Well guys, I was gonna go up work on Goliath this morning in the trailer, but looks like Alyssa's got a flat tire in her Mustang, so we got to address that first. Well guys, I put about 50 pounds of pressure in it and it aired right back up. I cannot hear an audible leak, so I'm gonna grab the jack, get it up in the air, take the weight off of it, that way I can spin it around. Maybe I'll find something, but as of right now, I don't hear anything. Well guys, as you can see, we found the obstruction of the tire. It's definitely leaking air. Unfortunately, the tread depth is so low on this tire, it's not worth fixing. So it's just time to replace the tire. All right guys, Alyssa decided she wanted to do it.
Here we go. Did it come off?
Yep.
Cool.
That doesn't look good if it don't want to come off. Some of us are cross-threaded when they put it on last time.
Oh boy.
Guys, sure enough, it was cross-threaded. We got take two. All right, guys, we got it off, but as you see, it broke the stud. So somebody cross-threaded that one when they put it on. See, Brooklyn is trying to help with the project as well. Yeah, that tire was junk anyways. Guys, I didn't notice that we had it all on, but the front wheel is a 17 and the rear wheel is an 18 and they're much wider. You see the lip there? So her spare is not the right spare for this car. Because the diameters are different, it's not a good idea for her to drive around on it. So we're just moved around the yard. Talon is working down in Blairsville, Georgia today, and there's a number of tire shops down there. He's going to see if he can bring home some tires so we can mount them when he gets here. We've got a tire machine in the shop, so no problem with doing that. But anyway, that's it for that project. Now off to the real work. All right guys, I just got up here to the yard and I tried to start the Kenworth yesterday when I was here. It's the first time it had been started or tried to be started since before we went to Daytona. And unfortunately, the batteries were too low. It tried to crank, but not enough. So I put it on charge, and by the time I left last night, it still wasn't fully charged. I left it overnight. So we're gonna go ahead and get it fired up, let it run for a little bit. And apparently I've got something drawing these batteries down, either that or they've just reached the end of their life and they're not holding a charge. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run it and I'm gonna keep the battery charger on it and bring them to an absolute top charge. And then before I leave today, I'm going to disconnect the battery so there is no draw on them, let them sit another week and see if I hook them up if it starts. If they go flat then I know it's just bad batteries and not something drawing on it. Most times I forget to pull those off and it shoots them right up in the air. All right guys, on to the project at hand. Well, good morning YouTube. You guys might be able to tell I'm pretty high today. That's right, I'm up on the roof of Goliath. We're getting ready to work on a project here. But first, I'd like to wish everybody a happy April Fool's Day. Speaking of April Fools, did you guys happen to see the video I put out yesterday about me not being happy with Biden's speech? Well, apparently there was a guy that commented. I say guy, I don't know if it was a guy or not. Somebody had commented who goes by the name of Spoon Find. And I thought it was kind of funny. He apparently didn't like my video. So his comment was, I came here to learn about oil, not politics. So I replied to him, the video wasn't about politics, it was about oil prices. He then replied, okay, I'll go elsewhere. Now everyone, you tell me, I didn't bash Biden, I didn't bash the administration, I didn't bash anything. It wasn't about politics. It was just my expression of how disappointed I was that there was a plan, a major plan in place to save us maybe 10 to 35 cents per gallon. I was disappointed in that. I wanted to see a bigger savings. But as far as Spoon Find goes, and our April Fool, you know what? Go. I checked the subscriber list. You weren't even subscribed. In my opinion, you were never even here. Carry on with yourself. Go watch somebody else's channel that'll cater to your needs. Most of my subscribers like what we do here, and like I said, you weren't even subscribers. Anyway, I'm done with that. Alright, so today we are going to try to fix a leak. And guys, I apologize for the wind. I'm trying this new microphone. I'm hoping it makes a difference, but I won't know until I watch this. When we were in Daytona, I noticed that some of the Love Jug boxes that I had up in the loft, the boxes had gotten wet. Luckily, none of the product got hurt, but the actual cases that they came in were just saturated with water on the ones that were released on the bottom of the stacks. And well, I can't just have water coming into the trailer. It's going to ruin everything, ruin the trailer, so we have to fix it. But check out what I got to help make this job easier. So I went to Lowe's yesterday, and I got this extendable walk plank that I can put between the roof of Goliath and the roof of the trailer. Guys, and the reason I did this is once I extend the ladder out far enough to lean it against the side of the stacker trailer, which is 13.2 or something like that tall, carrying stuff up and down, the ladder gets a little wiggly, and I hate to say it, it's a little frightening. Maybe it's just because I'm old. Maybe it's because I'm fat. Truth is, it's probably both. But I just wasn't comfortable with it. And normally when I climb up on the roof of Goliath, I put the ladder up there by the stacks. I don't know if you can see them. Right over there. Somewhere right over there. But that's considerably lower than this. I mean, that part over there is probably only about 9.5 to 10 feet rather than 13 feet. And I've got the stack to hold on to climb up. So I thought the walk plank to go between the two was going to be a great idea. Now the scary part is it's only rated for 250 pounds. And, well, a little bit more than that. But it's also designed to extend out to well over 13 feet. And as it's sitting here, I don't have it extended at all. So the gap between Goliath and the stacker is only about 7 feet, maybe 6.5. I'm not real sure. I didn't actually measure it, but I know it's at its narrowest, and I've walked across it quite a few times. It feels very strong, very stable. I'm confident that it's going to work out well. Now, ultimately, what I like to do is create some kind of a sliding rack or something up here so that this stays on the roof all the time, and all I have to do is slide it back and connect it to the trailer when we're at rallies doing our setup, because we have to go back and forth setting up all the awnings. So this is something that we're going to use all the time, not just to fix this leak. Alright guys, as you can see here, there's the sealant where the side rails meets the roof panel, and you can see there's a pretty good crack right in there, and somebody's come up here and tried to repair it with silicone that they just did a really terrible job at. In fact, it's not adhering very good. In many places, like here, you see it's just peeling right off. And from inside the trailer, it looks like this is where the majority of the leak is coming from. So what we're going to do is we're going to scrape out all of this sealant that has probably been on there since 2004, and we are going to reseal it and make it all go away. So I've got a razor blade, a 3-in-1 scraper, some rags, some sandpaper. The idea is we'll scrape it all out of there, and then I'm going to rough up the surface, both on the aluminum rail and the roof, so that when we do add our sealant, and I'm going to use that 3M 5200, that really good marine sealant, it's going to have a good mechanical bond. It's going to have something to really bite to. That way it holds really good and doesn't just peel off because of lack of preparation like what's happened here. Well, guys, it's definitely a pain in the butt. You see here, like where this corner goes together, there's these large gaps. And of course, they were filled with the sealant. It made it challenging. These areas here scrape, and you see there's little residue there. But I found what I think might be a good trick. If I stop cutting with the razor, now that I've got this coming with these strings, it looks like I can just peel it up for the most part. May end up being a whole lot less scraping to do. See, this is the silicone they added to fix it. And the silicone that they added is coming up pretty easy. It's the factory sealant. This stuff is tough. But it looks like if I get that right pull on it and I don't yank too hard, I can get it to release. Anyway, guys, I'm going to do the whole length of the trailer. Keep in mind this trailer is 32 feet long by 8 feet wide. So we're looking at 32 and 32 is 64, and then another 18. Yeah, we got like almost 80 feet that we got to do. So it's going to take a little while. So guys, as you can see, I'm making progress, and the new trick is working pretty well. Now here we get to somewhat of a problem point where the antenna comes to the roof. You can see the bulk that's up around there. You can see some of the white, and that's stuff that I put on there in Daytona, trying to stop the leak as a temporary until we get here to do the fix. But I'm almost to this end. That's where I started. So we're getting close. Alright guys, it was a pain in the butt, but as you can see, I got it. Definitely a task. Now when I go to reseal that, I will probably remove the antenna, put sealant underneath it, fill the holes, mount it back down, rather than just caking the whole top of it. That way I use minimal on top. Alright guys, so I've got most of it scraped off. I even went back afterwards and cleaned it up with a razor blade. Now what I'm doing, it's got a sanding block here with some 80 grit on it. And I'm just doing this line right here on the actual roof. The actual fiberglass coating, the gel coat that's on this. And I'm just roughing up that surface. Getting it good and clean, and you can definitely see the difference. So how clean it is there along this edge compared to down here. See how yucky it is. Alright guys, so you can see how well it's cleaning that up. And this is a lot of work, I know. And you know, this 80 grit sandpaper, it's not what you'd want to use if you were actually paint prepping something. But this doesn't have to look pretty up here. What I'm looking for is a good, strong mechanical bond for the new sealant to adhere to, and not want to just peel off or come loose later on down the road. Now when I'm done with this, I'm going to go back and do the same thing on the aluminum side of it, so that we got a good bond there as well, so that whatever overlaps between the two is strongly secured to both of them. But before I put the sealant on and I'm done with the sanding, I'll actually go through and I'm going to wipe this whole thing down with either an acetone or a denatured alcohol or something just to clean it, make sure there's no oils, no dust, no nothing like that on it, and then it's time to put the sealant down. Well, alright guys, made some good progress. I made a heck of a mess. Alright, so it's all clean all the way around the edge. The fiberglass is sanded, the aluminum is sanded, and you can see the piles of sealant left over. Alright guys, as you can see, I've got a mess of sealant up here by the entire area. But the entire area is clean along the edges, ready for the new sealant to go down after I give it a quick wipe with the degreaser. Alright guys, I had to leave there for just a little bit to go run some errands and do some few things, but I came back, I swept off the roof, and I used some denatured alcohol to clean all the surfaces where the sealant is going to go. All right, guys, I chose the denatured alcohol, one, because it's really good at cleaning and prepping a surface that you want good adhesion to. Also, it dries really fast. So by the time I go downstairs, actually get this caulk and the sealant that I'm going to use, come back up here, it'll be ready for me to apply. So that's the next step. Hi guys, as I said before, I'm using this 3M marine adhesive sealant. This stuff is really expensive, but it is also really good. It's actually designed for through hull applications below the waterline in a boat. So if they can't seal it out, there's not much out there that can. So this is going to be our structural seal, and then we're going to add a top sealant to it probably tomorrow after this stuff cures. But as you can see, I'm racing the sunset behind me. It's only about 35 or 40 minutes until the sun sets, so I need to get started to get this stuff in there. All right, guys, I got about 3/4 of the way around, and I ran out of the 5200. I thought one tube would get it. The truth is, it would have if I hadn't had to fill those corners where those gaps are real tall. I'll show you that stuff tomorrow when the sun's up. But for night, we're gonna call it quits. Be back out here in the morning. All right, guys, it is the next morning, and we are back up here on top of the roof of the Renegade Stacker working on Project Goliath. I ran out this morning and grabbed some more sealant to finish up, but we couldn't finish last night as we ran out of light and we ran out of sealant. Unfortunately, the local boat shop didn't have any more white, so I had to get black. Doesn't matter to me, it's all gonna get covered anyways. It's the same product, it's still a really good product. I really don't care the color. I still need to pull the antenna off and seal underneath it before I remount it back down. So I gotta run down and grab the proper bit to take out those screws. But I did notice that, remember last night we were racing the sun setting, it was starting to get cold. So I come up here today, about 11 o'clock in the morning when I got up here to actually start on this. And the sealant we laid down yesterday is not even close to being cured or solidified yet. It's still very tacky. So I'm not going to put the other layer of sealant on top just yet because that may cause issues with this not properly curing. So we're just gonna wait until this is dry and then we'll top coat it. I've got like 3 more days that we're not expecting any rain. So I'm not in a huge rush here. I don't want to make any mistakes. Basically, guys, what I did here is that top rail of the trailer, if you can imagine, it's kind of like a C channel. And then the roof panel, which is 32 feet long, all one piece of 5/8 plywood that is gel coated on both sides. And basically that panel slides into that C channel. And then where the bolts are, obviously it's nice and tight, but in between the bolts, and I want to say those bolts are probably 12 inches on center, sometimes there's a little bit of gap in the rail. So what I did first is I came by with a thin bead with the tip of the caulk gun firmly placed against the joint as to push sealant into the joint. And then what it is, it came back afterwards. It was almost like I was trying to stitch weld, moving a little bit slower, actually moving the tip of the caulking gun back and forth, kind of like in an eye pattern or small circles, like you would do if you were MIG welding, to make sure to carry the puddle of the sealant from the high surface to the low surface to make sure there was good coverage, a good bond, still while maintaining about a 3/8 wide bead. And then that last coat we'll come by with, once this is cured, is actually a self-leveling RV type roof sealant that you can kind of put on heavy and it will just flow out and cover everything. That should fix all of this, but I'm not gonna make you guys wait around to see all that. We'll do an update on that in another video. And if none of this works, I'm just gonna rubber roof it just like Goliath is, because no issues there. Well guys, because I have to let that cure, it is now time to move on to another project. So we're gonna go ahead and close this video out. But before I go, I want to say thank you for following along. And I know that we got a lot of new subscribers that came along in the last couple of days. I believe mostly because of the Gentry and Sons trucking video that I did. And Gentry put me one of his videos as well. So if you came over from there, let me know. Leave a comment below. I get to know how many times to thank Tim. And stay tuned because there's a lot more work that needs to be done to Project Goliath and Project Kenworth. And we've got about 3 weeks until the truck show down in Wildwood at 75 Prone Shop. So we got a lot of stuff to do. Goliath is supposed to be there, not in the show. As I said before in another video, we're hopefully going to be in the parking lot at the Pilot next door. but there's no guarantee we're going to get in there, but that's the plan. So guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And until the next time I see you, keep those engines running.